Hello, everybody. It's me. I'm back at Strong Island Studios, and it is time for the Zencuda Soul Space. Hi, I'm Georgia Rose, and I am your psychic astrologer. Must be Monday at 7 o'clock because that's when I'm here every week. I'm just really excited to be back in the studio because I actually missed 2 or 3 weeks. I was on vacation the last week of August, and then I didn't do a show Labor Day. So you get me in the studio live tonight. How lucky are you? Well, I'm the lucky one to be here. So definitely want to talk about astrology tonight, but not in so much detail as where the stars are and the pinpoints. Tonight I'm going to talk a little bit more about the way we're all feeling, because I think there's some wonky kind of energy out there. Just going to share the show. If all of you want to do that, that would be absolutely wonderful. So we get together in the soul space. It's a beautiful community. These videos are also, the show is also put on my YouTube channel, Zencuda on YouTube, and it's live on Facebook. It's also on strongislands.com and their YouTube channel. And if you want to share the show, that'd be great. Like I said, we get together every Monday night at 7 and we talk about astrology and spiritual things. You can comment and call into the show live. All kinds of interaction happens. We never know what's going to happen here in the soul space. Sometimes we have guests. I haven't had a guest in a while. I got to book a few for that actually, because I haven't been thinking about it. So I'm going to give you guys all some time to come on in, and then we're going to look at some of the comments and see who's on and that kind of thing. So let me go on here. Whoops. So I hope you guys had a really good weekend. Hi, Joanne. McCarthy McNally's on. Joanne also does a show called Soul Searcher, and she is on Blog Talk Radio, I believe, on Tuesday evenings, so you can always look for her. Hi, Sarah, and Tony Carlami's in the house. So welcome, everybody. Going to give everybody a chance to just kind of pile in to the soul space. So like I said, tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the energy. We all feel like we've got 1 foot in the future and 1 foot in the past. That seems to be the energy right now. I'll tell you the reason for that. I also want to talk a little bit about my new website. If you guys want to have a reading, I do astrology readings, I do psychic readings, I do tarot. And if you want any kind of a reading, you can get that on my website, zencuda.com. It actually has a booking feature so that if you go on there, you can book a reading right online, goes right into your appointment and automatically sets up a Zoom link. All of my readings are done on Zoom or FaceTime, whichever you prefer. And then you are given a video of the reading so that you can refer to it time and time again. And the reason I do that is because I have had readings with some of world-renowned astrologers over the years, and I often will play them back, sometimes even a couple of years or years afterward, because there's so much information in there that gives me insight into how to guide my life. I am an evolutionary astrologer, which basically is, I believe that the way the stars are positioned in your chart are really your soul's contract and your soul's journey through your life. So when I do a reading for you, it's really about your soul's intention and why you're here. So, and guidance as to why certain things have happened in your life. So it's really pretty interesting. So, welcome everybody tonight. We're going to jump in and do some astrology. I'm just trying to find my comments, which I never can find ever. It's so weird on here. I think it's just my my iPad. Okay. Here we are. Alrighty. So one of the things that I noticed with a lot of people that I've been doing readings for just in the last week or two, and just in general, like wherever I go, I also have a 3-dimensional life. I'm not always in the spiritual world doing my, chosen work. Sometimes I have to do the work that's chosen me in the 3-dimensional world where I am a real estate broker. So if any of you are local to the Long Island, New York area and you want to sell a house, you know where to find me. So one of the things that's been coming up is people feel like they've got 1 foot in the future and 1 foot in the past. And like you want to do something and you'll start to do it and then you about face and do something else. Or you can't seem to focus your energy all in one place, the right place where you want it to be. And there's a reason for that. And the reason is we have a lot of planets in retrograde, while we also have a lot of planets pushing us forward. So it's almost like our subconscious and the conscious, right, the heart and the head, are not in unison, like we're not correlating the things that we want to do. And that's actually happening for some really deep and big reasons. So I'm going to go into those. So the first thing I want to talk about is, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to see comments and I cannot see them on here. And I always have that happen to me. Here they are. Okay. So the one thing I want to talk about is the retrogrades. And just to give you an idea, we have actually, I remember showing this particular cue card on the first Soul Space program that I did in September. And this, I don't know if you'll see it on this camera, but this is all the transits that we have this month. It's a lot of transits. So we have a very active sky in September. But unfortunately, all the energy isn't going in the same direction because we have so many retrogrades, yet we also have planets pushing us forward. So right now in the sky, we have until October 11th, Pluto retrograde. Mars will go retrograde in December. Uranus is retrograde now until January 30th. Saturn is retrograde until November 15th. Neptune is retrograde until December 7th. Chiron is retrograde until January 30th. Jupiter will be retrograde on October 9th until next February. And Mercury goes retrograde again, not until 11/25. So right now we have Pluto, Uranus, Saturn, Neptune, Chiron, and Jupiter all retrograde. And each one of those planets, when they're retrograde, slow down. Retrogrades don't mean things go backwards. It means that things are slowing down. So what will happen is the energy of the planet becomes more intense because it's closer to Earth. And each of those planets has a certain archetype or attribute or energy field that they work on in our lives, in our minds, in our hearts, to create an energy and a frequency in order to bring us to a certain place. Pluto, for instance, when Pluto is retrograde, it gives us the sense of our deepest desires coming to the surface. And that would sound, pretty easy to navigate, right? Everyone wants to know what their desires are, right? We want to know what our soul really feels and really wants. But the problem is when Pluto is retrograde, it brings deep transformation because it brings up desires that aren't conscious. It brings up desires that have been hidden. It brings up the things that we haven't processed in our life that are going to lead us to processing emotions and processing events, environments, relationships, situations that we haven't done before. So while Pluto brings our desires to the surface, it does so in a way of getting us in touch with all the things we haven't been in touch with before. And in that way, a lot of people will think about Pluto's transformation as a complete and total rebirth. It's not really a rebirth, it's a remembrance of the things that are your core being, the things that your soul came here to do. Pluto in evolutionary astrology is the soul. And when I do a reading, wherever Pluto is in your chart shows me the intention and the trajectory that your soul will take to activate those intentions in your lifetime. So when Pluto's retrograde, it's deep change from within. It's where we revisit and in order to resolve and find resolutions to the things that your soul is talking to you about. So this becomes a time, a very important time in 2024 and beyond, where we really are going to change and emerge from things that are deeply felt within us that we haven't before. So it's truly a time where we can resolve a lot of things, especially with Chiron retrograde. When Chiron is retrograde, it brings us into deep fields of healing. It will be a memory field of things that maybe were painful to us, but that we are able now to resolve and come through and heal. And Chiron works very differently than the way most people will read about Chiron processes. In pop culture and pop astrology, Chiron is very, very mislabeled and misinformed and you'll be very misguided about Chiron. Chiron really is a planet that works with Saturn and Uranus in order to reveal to us not only what our wounds are, but how to resolve them and what we were meant here to resolve. And it does that so that we can bring those energies forward into a triumph for others. That's also retrograde now, so we're deeply working on those. So this is a time of great resolution and emergence, all right? We've got Venus going retrograde soon. And when Venus is retrograde now. When Venus is retrograde, it brings us into a deeper amount of self-love. It makes us more reflective about how we love and how we love others and ourselves, and where can we expand love in our lives. When Jupiter is retrograde, it wants to bring us into a more lighthearted, playful time. It wants to bring us into a time where we can go within and think about things from our childhood that were really real and playful and sweet. And so when Jupiter is retrograde, sometimes it'll help us resolve the issue that we think was maybe all dark and bring lightness to it, lightness of being. And of course, when Saturn is retrograde, Saturn informs us about our foundations. Saturn informs us about our foundations, our structures. Saturn is the authority in our life. It oftentimes will limit us and restrict us and squeeze us a bit in order to make us create discipline. So now, when you put all this in a blender, what is all this stuff we're feeling? Why do we feel so kind of disjointed and disenfranchised and disillusioned and all these disses right now? Well, what this is all about, all these retrogrades, is they're bringing us back. They're making us feel like we're going backwards a little bit. They're bringing our energy fields, we're kind of reversing them. But it's not doing that to limit us or slow us down or give us situations that we can't move forward from. Retrogrades happen so that we become more introspective. It's a time when we're meant to add space to our days for that reflection. It's a time when we're meant to add space to our lives and our thoughts and our breath. When we have this many planets in retrograde, it's a beautiful time to do breath work and just focus on the breath, breathe through the chest center and bring breath into the heart and oxygen. It's a beautiful time for that. When planets are retrograde, the answer to that feeling of ambivalence that you may get, because don't forget, we're being pulled back into a time that we may not really want to go over again. And that's what retrogrades do. When planets are retrograde, they go over points in the zodiac 3 times. They move very slow and the world is turning, so it'll go over it once. And then the world goes around and it'll go over it again. And then it kind of starts to go direct and speed up, so then there's a third pass. And that's why it's said things happen in 3s. That comes from retrogrades. So you'll notice during these time frames up until next January especially, that things will come into your life that will repeat, or a theme will repeat. Maybe not the same circumstance, but something will repeat. For instance, maybe an old love or an old flame comes back in, and it resolves in some way, and then that energy dissipates and dissolves, and then another old flame will come in. And you'll have different circumstance, different person, but the same theme. Same thing with job situations or situations with family. It'll keep repeating and coming up until you see the same thing originating, revolving, resolving, dissolving, and then coming back again in a different form. That's because there are things that we are introspecting, resolving, aligning, correlating in ourselves. Add to that time frame right now the eclipses. And we have eclipse energy right now that's bring endings and beginnings. Once again, starts and stops, right? Action and stillness. This is why we feel we've got 1 foot in and 1 foot out, 1 foot in the past, but we want to go forward. So this end of this year is going to play out where that energy is going to keep cycling around and cycling around. And it's going to be very hard for us to move things forward, especially things that we knew or want to emerge from that are seated in the moment. We just had a new moon on September 3rd, and any goal, anything that we are trying to accomplish from that new moon will be more difficult than normal because of these stops and starts and this, push-pull kind of energy. But that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It just may take a little longer to be seated. And in an energy like this, that's okay, because part of the bigger process is in the seeding, the growing, the watering, the playing with the soil, the replanting. All of that comes in a time frame like this. So now, what retrogrades do is they bring us into an exploration. We start to explore the past. We start to think about it. We start to make space and build space in our breath and in our day and in our environment to be contemplative. Maybe, where I live right now in the eastern part of the United States, we're going on to autumn. And so the days are getting shorter. The evening time, the darkness comes earlier. Usually I would drive home from the show at 8 o'clock or 8:30 from the studio, and it would be light out in the summertime. And now it gets dark here several hours before that. So it's a time where we kind of, pull in. We go home. We want to sit on the sofa. We want to have a dinner with the family. We want to be more introspective. So there's a natural rhythm to this time of year. And this year especially is when we go into that exploration of the things that we want to think about. Yet we live in a society, in an environment with family pressure and peer pressure and pressure from our jobs and our education structures that want us to move forward. We're a goal-oriented society. So when we have retrogrades that are pulling us back and we have a goal-oriented life that we've created, what happens is the structures and boundaries get blurred. We feel like we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. And so that's where the expectations come in. And so that's where the tension and the frustration comes in of feeling like we're in the past, but we're supposed to be in the future. And we're in the future, we feel like we really should go home and think about something that we've been trying to think about. And then we go home and think about it. We're like, oh, you know what? I was supposed to go meet Sally, or I was supposed to get this report done, or I was supposed to have this, thing in for work. And so that's where the tension and the judgment and all the negative energy comes in. So the answer to the energy right now with all of these retrogrades, and especially with the pressures we have from our lives to move forward. And also there's a lot of planets right now in signs where they're moving forward. Even though some of them are retrograde, they're changing signs this month. I'll give you a rundown on that. So that creates a forward momentum. So now we're battling gas brake. We're battling. Are we going to stop short, or are we going to keep going? And the best way to come out of that energy and give yourself peace and peace of mind, I know a lot of people aren't sleeping well now, and it's because of this push-pull energy. The best way to get around that and navigate that and use the astrology as guidance is to get to know yourself. And so that's the best advice I can give you. Take the time to be contemplative, to explore what's coming up. When you're driving to work and you're starting to put pressure on yourself and you're like, I should have had this in before now. It shouldn't have taken me so long to do this project or report or whatever it is. Think about, where is that really coming from? Is that true? Is that real? Or is that, the 6-year-old you or the junior high school you that couldn't do the algebra homework and was on the way to school, and you're on the bus and you're like, oh my God, I should have been able to do this. I should have been able to do this. That's what this energy is about. The retrograde motion wants us to go back and explore, where is the pressures coming from? Where are these judgments coming from? Where are the things coming from in our life that we put the strain and the stress on ourselves every day? Where can we go to expand more love? Venus in retrograde. Where can we go to explore more awakening? Uranus retrograde. What are our true desires for our life? Pluto retrograde, right? So now apply those lessons to your life. Because what this is really about, if I could summarize it, is that this is a time that even though we feel like we are in this weird energy we can't seem to sync, the reason we feel like that is because we're not allowing ourselves to catch up to our own experiences. And that's what this is all about. This is a time when we are meant to catch up to our own experiences that we've had, that we've been on a 180-mile treadmill and we haven't stopped and let ourselves absorb and integrate those experiences so we don't have the insight from them. And that's why we feel disconnected. That's why we feel disjointed. And that's why this beautiful universe gives us retrogrades, to go back so that we can really go back into our experiences and gain our insights and catch up to ourselves. So if we can do that and give ourselves the space in our day, the space in our breath, to catch up to ourselves and think about, what is the universe trying to show me right now? What is it that I didn't get before that I really need to get? What is it that I've been avoiding thinking about, that if I just allow myself space in my day to think about this, it may bring me some beautiful wisdom or insight and help me grow forward while bringing part of my past with me that holds the wisdom of how I am supposed to act in the future. So the past, the history of ourselves, of our hearts and our soul and our bodies, because our bodies hold these experiences as well, though that history is meant to emerge renewed from a different perspective, looking at it from the future. Instead of looking at it as a negative, as something that's holding us back, as something that we don't want to think about. And so as we allow ourselves the time in our day, the time in our breath, the time in our minutes, our moments, before we go into dream time, before we wake up in the morning, giving ourselves the space to really go into that renewal of the parts that we never allowed ourselves to catch up to. And then allowing these new parts to charge our frequency for the future. And so that's the integration. So what happens now when we allow ourselves the time to do that and to catch up with ourselves and all our experiences and our wisdom is now we emerge as a new frequency. And that's where we really create the life. That's where we really breathe fire into things. Because those experiences, once integrated, now we're different, right? We've learned something. We're different. We're not the same person we went into that introspection as. Anyone who's had a very traumatic time in their life where you just took time out to heal, or you took time out to really think about what just happened, you don't emerge from that the same person. And the reason is because you've integrated the experience and you've integrated the wisdom. But when we keep driving the car at 80 miles an hour, 90 miles an hour, 180 miles an hour, and we never integrate the wisdom, we don't grow and change, and we've got all this stuff in us, and that's why we feel like, well, we're kind of in the past, but we're kind of in the future, and we're not really sure what we should be thinking about, and don't think about that, and don't think about that, and don't do that, no, you didn't do this, and now we're just a big bundle of jumbled nerves and frustration and judgment. But once we go into the stillness, take what we need and bring it forward, integrate the wisdom and the experience of the life, now we're different. And now that Plutonian desire of the soul can emerge in the frequency that we were meant to be in. The universe, God, soul, gave us those experiences to be integrated. If we're having experiences and we're not integrating them, the universe is just going to keep repeating them because it's like, an empty cup. It's like, well, they didn't drink anything out of it. It was just empty. And they just kept having the experience of a cup on the table, but they never drank it. So now you're just going to keep having the same experience. And the universe will keep making those experiences more and more intense until you actually integrate them and the wisdom that's supposed to come with them. So I hope that I made that understandable, because this is a very important time that is meant to change us deeply. And the reason it's happening is because in 2025, we have a tremendous amount of energy coming into the universe where we're all going to be upgraded into a different species. And I know that sounds really crazy, but it's the truth. It's like if we all take the time to integrate and go into the transformation and the catch up and immerse in that energy of our experiences and the things that we've done thus far, then in 2025, when the energy starts to change and pull us all forward, we go forward different. It's not more of the same. And that's why I'm saying we're going to emerge as a different species. It's not like some ball of fire is going to come down and change us all and give us 3 heads. It's a consciousness. It's an awakening. If we allow ourselves the time to process all that we never process. And the universe has given all these planets in retrograde for that to happen. I can tell you that never in astrological history, as long as we can look back, has there been a time when not only have we had this many planets in retrograde, we've had lots of planets in retrograde, but we've never had them like this before a time, 2025 and into 2026, when all the major planets change signs. So this is an amount of energy that is going to be so extremely different and accelerated in a different way that if we don't utilize it and allow it to guide us to the beautiful plateaus and the beautiful awakenings that we can have, then we're really wasteful. So allow that stillness and action to not be a polarity, but to be merged. Allow the stillness to show you the action. Allow the inward to show you the outward. Allow the reflection of the past to show you the forward thinking. Integrate it all, because right now everybody's running on 2 separate frequencies. Good, bad, white, black, past, future. It's all meant to show us the way. So whatever you have been moving through, know that that is to show you what you are supposed to learn along the way. It's not about the spilt milk. It's about, why did the milk spill? How did it get out of the bottle? Who cleaned it up? How'd you feel when it happened? How'd you feel when you were cleaning it up? That's what it's all about. It's not about the action, the circumstance. It's about the experience. And where did you deeply feel it in your body? I guarantee you that's where you get ailments. This is about definitely adding the space to our days to feel these retrogrades. So you're going to emerge renewed from this if you allow yourself to merge the past with your future self. And that doesn't mean staying in the wounds. That means allowing yourself to really understand why your soul chose to have that experience, and that it was really for your good and your betterment, not so that you could be crying for the rest of your life. And the same with good experiences. Ask yourself, gee, why did I have good experiences in my life? What was my soul trying to show me about the experiences that I've had so far that were pure joy and happiness and elevation and blessings? What was I supposed to learn from that as well? So, allow yourself to really go forward and see what that's all about. Because that's why we feel like we have one foot in and one foot out. So if anybody has any questions about that stuff, please, please, please put them in the chat. I'm going to look and see what you all are talking about now. All right. Not a lot of stuff in the chat. So chat away, my people. And also, if anybody wants to call into the show, Bob, you want to put that number on? We haven't done a call in a while. So now let's see, my little people. Okay, so just this month, I was talking about planets changing signs, and that's when the energy really changes up. So, and I don't know about you guys, but I feel things are just so accelerated, especially in my own careers, both my spiritual and my three-dimensional career. Everything is just so speeded up. That may be because of some transits I'm having in my own personal chart. Uranus and I are making friends. Yeah, we're getting there though. We're kind of frenemies right now, but we'll be friends by the end of the year, me and Uranus. So Pluto went back into Cap on the 2nd of this month. I've got Mars in Cancer. Now, Mars in Cancer went on in the 4th, and I got to tell you, Mars in Cancer is going to stay there for a really long time. Usually, Mars stays in a sign about 4 weeks. It's going to be in Cancer, I think, until I want to say like November, when all the retrogrades and everything finish. When Mars is in Cancer, guys, remember, Mars is our get up and go. It's our energy. It's our ambition, our assertion. It's the way we act in life. When Mars is in Cancer, we're a little more cautious about our actions because we are, Cancer is a sign that does not like vulnerability, even though it's a very vulnerable sign. So we're going to feel vulnerable with Mars in Cancer. So we tend to express ourselves a little less, and we're more cautious about our expression. So Mercury is going into Virgo on the 8th, which was yesterday. The Sun, of course, goes into Libra during the equinox, which is the 22nd. And Venus is also going to Scorpio on the 22nd. So I have to tell you, this week is fairly quiet in the zodiac. This week, the universe really wants us to be more introspective and think about things that happened in the past. But I will tell you that next week, when we start approaching the 18th, the full moon in Pisces, and the lunar eclipse, things really start to move. I'm going to do a whole show about that lunar eclipse because it's a lot of energy that comes out in a lot of different ways. So I'm going to say hi to everybody. Hey, Claire. Hey, Marie. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Anne. Nice to see you back again. I haven't seen you in a while. Dawn Elizabeth, how are you doing, sweetie? I talked to Joanne already earlier. Cheryl, love Cheryl. She's such a positive person. Kim Murray is on. Hey, Kim, how are you? I got Tony on. And I'm going to actually start pulling cards in a minute, but I just want to tell you about this week's energy a little more. We've just coming off. It's starting to wane a little bit. We had the Sun opposing Saturn. For those of you who've been feeling very, very tired, like not sleepy tired, but tired, like your energy is just really drained. That's when the Sun and Saturn are opposite in the chart and they oppose each other. Thanks, Bob. We're going to get your hand famous tonight. See that? This is Bobby. Say hi. It's my producer. Love him. So when the Sun and Saturn oppose each other, that makes our vitality, which is the Sun, Saturn is a limiting authority figure. Saturn is limiting, discipline, all the limiting things. It's a tightening energy. So when the Saturn is opposing the sun, it tightens and can restrict our vitality. So if you've been feeling tired the last few days, that is why. And then on the 12th, which is, I believe, Thursday, the sun squares Jupiter. Now, squares in the zodiac are conversations of tension. So when the sun, which is our vitality, squares Jupiter, which is our optimism, Jupiter is expansion. When that happens, a lot of times what will happen in this energy, because Mercury is involved as well, we can have a tendency to overindulge. Also, it will be not a good overindulging. It's like when Jupiter is squaring our vitality in the sun, it's like we overindulge and then again can be tired from it, or we drink too much, or we eat too much. It's not a good feeling. It's too much of a good thing. And also we have a tendency in the energy this week, Thursday, Friday into the weekend, to overstate things. So if you're in a profession where you talk to people a lot, or a family where you're going to a gathering or something, or with friends, kind of weigh your words, be cautious, use that Mars in Cancer to be cautious about what you express, because Jupiter squaring the sun can be, we overstate things. We're overconfident. We're, too much of a good thing. We come in, we're like the bull in the china shop, or with a lot of bravado, and we end up going too far, too fast in this energy, overpromising, that kind of thing. And then on the 13th, 14th, Pluto really is intense. This is, Pluto retrograde is intense anyway, but it is here because from Monday on this week, Pluto can be a little bit intense. It will lighten up as we get a little more towards the weekend. But that Jupiter also squaring the sun comes in on the 14th. So now we have that really being exact. That's like Saturday. And what happens after Friday the 13th and into Friday the 13th is it's an overampage. It's like Jupiter is expanding the sun. It's too much too soon. It's like short circuit, like overampage. But it can also be a really optimistic energy, an energy where all of a sudden things that were very heavy seem very optimistic, and we can really see the horizon and we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So it's going to be a really interesting week. Also, one of the phenomena that's going to happen with the energy this week is we very much feel like we have to resolve something. We're going to feel a sense of urgency about resolving something, but we just can't quite get there. And there's a whole bunch of transits, which I won't go into detail about why that is. But it's also because when Pluto is retrograde, it does demand of us shadow work, which means going in and being introspective and thinking about the things that we're supposed to learn from. And that energy will build because Mars is going to move towards the North Node in Libra. And as Mars starts to do that, it's in Cancer, but it's moving towards a square with Libra, North Node. And what that starts to do is start to give us the wisdom that we can draw from our experiences to do relationships differently. Because Mars in Cancer is going to be squaring the North Node in Libra. And that's an energy of nurturing, of relationships, of the mother in relationships, the mother figures in our life. So as the week progresses, we start going into the 14th, and it's that full moon, which I'll do on the next show. There is an energy of something's not right. I have to resolve it. I have to fix it. But we're not really going to get to that resolution. It's like just out of our reach. We probably will get to it somewhere around that full moon time, which is the 18th. But for now, it just keeps coming up because we're not meant to resolve it yet. We're meant to go into the shadow, into ourselves, go back to an experience to bring the wisdom that will resolve it. We don't know what that is yet. So something's still out of balance. And what it is requiring us to do is really go within and spend that quiet time and put that time into our lives where we really do have time and space to learn what we're supposed to learn right now. So the answers are there, but we've got to really, really go into ourselves in order to find them. And I think we have a call, and then we're going to go to cards. Hello, you're on the Soul Space with Georgia Rose.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Who am I talking to?
Hi, this is Sherry.
Hi, Sherry. How are you? Is this
good,
Sherry
I'm good.
with an
How
M?
are you?
I know who it is. I'm so glad you called into the show.
I'm good. So,
do you have a question for us, or did you want me to pull some cards?
Yeah, I just have been really. I do.
Okay.
I would
Sherry,
like to
can you
ask
just mute your device because we can't hear you?
Wait, hold on. I'm on the house phone.
Yeah, and you'll get me with a delay and it'll confuse you.
Okay.
Thanks,
Okay.
Bob.
So, can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay. So, I am just in awe of this reading that you're doing tonight because that's exactly how I've been feeling.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like I have been like a top, a spinning top, and that's not normally how I am. It's like everything's this way, that way. My birthday is Thursday, and I'm like, what is going on? Now you just explained everything so clearly to me, so I appreciate
Right.
it. Thank you. I thought it
Right.
was me.
And there are a lot of things happening that are accelerating for us because especially Pluto has been in Capricorn for 15 years and it went back into it was going into Aquarius where it went in January and now it's retrograded back into Capricorn. So this is a time when we're really tying up loose ends because the universe wants to pull us forward. So it's just a
Okay.
very rapid type of thing. It's like the wheels are turning as fast as they can to get as much done as they can to wrap up 15 years of stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I feel like I haven't been able to do anything.
Yeah, and that's because we got one foot in and one
As
foot
fast as the
out.
wheels are going, I feel like I haven't been able to do anything.
I know. I've been experiencing that a little bit myself. It's like everything's really speeded up but taking forever. So the best thing to do in this energy, Sherry, is take time, even have a spa day. If Thursday's your birthday, go get a spa day, or you've got to spend time doing nothing. And just, even if that means putting on a comedy movie and laying on the couch or having a pajama day, that's where the healing and the rejuvenation and the recharge is going to come in. Like, stop the world and get off for a little bit.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
thank you so much for your insight and everything.
Oh,
Georgia.
you're
It's
welcome. We got to book you a
really.
reading. So thank you for calling in.
Perfect. Thank you so much for doing what you do.
Oh, you're welcome. So
Bye-bye. Yes.
have a great night.
You too. Bye-bye.
So one of the things I love about the Soul Space is the community that we have here because, and for those of you also, go on my website, Zencuda.com. Make sure you put your email in to get our newsletters and things. Those will be starting next month. We're going to have online courses and all kinds of stuff, events and things, because that's really why I do this, is to create a community. And I love it when people call in or make a comment and they say, you're describing exactly what's happening for me. Because there is a belief in world energy. And, we're all feeling a lot of the same things. It just takes on different circumstances in our life. The zodiac will absolutely always guide us. We just have to allow it and surrender to it. So I'm going to pick some cards actually for, I have like 15 minutes left on the show, so I can do some cards. I am going to pick cards for Joanne Garfey. And can everyone send up? I'm going to send up some hearts for Joanna because Joanna was, can't expand this. Joanna was, I can't send up my hearts. Let me go here. Because Joanna was, I don't know why it does this. She had called me the other day. She was feeling a little low, had some stuff going on, as we all do from time to time. And I think Joanna could use some love from all of us here in the Zencuda community. So I'm going to pull some cards for my buddy Joanna. All right. So I got the moon card for you, hon. And I know that is definitely an energy of reconnecting to your spirituality. It's the Scorpio card. This card, I believe, came up for you once before. And I don't know if you're a Scorpio energy, but it's coming up. So we've got Scorpio. The moon means you're going to have some insights. I feel like psychically they're telling me you're going to have some insights when we have that full moon in Pisces. Things are coming in for you. I think it's going to be a deepening of your spiritual connection. And here's my hearts going up. There, I have them. I found them. I don't know why my thing's always acting up whenever I try and get on here. And then I have the Nine of Swords, which Nine of Swords is those sleepless nights. You're still having sleepless nights. Well, let go of that and let yourself really get into a place where you can be the Empress. Beautiful. Now, the fact that this card is in reverse, the Empress card, I'll show it to all of you guys at home. This is the Empress card. When the card is in reverse for me, I read psychically. So, usually in traditional tarot, a card like the when it comes in reverse can be something happening before or after. It's either the past or the future. But the Empress was in reverse for me at the end of a spread, so this is mean that it hasn't happened yet to me. And if you'll look at the Empress card, how beautiful she is, this is the nurturing mother kind of energy. And I love that this came in as the end card on the spread because the first card we have is the moon. And the moon in astrology is the mother, it's identity. It is our own identity and nurturing, the way we nurture people and the way we process our identity. And the fact that the Empress is here is so beautiful for me because this is also nurturing motherly energy. You can see the sign of Venus on her little musical instrument here. I'm going to push that forward, see the lights on it. That sign is the Venus, which is the planet of love. She also has roses all over her gown. And then the throne is resting not only on the color gold and gold behind her showing abundance, but it's also, you see the wheat. So this can also be very much a Virgo card. We're in Virgo energy now because Virgo is the time of harvest. We're supposed to be harvesting the things that we've been given and the abundance we've been given all year long. This is a card that really tells us to count our blessings. And when we do that, the abundance that we have puts us like a queen on a throne. We are now an empress of our lives with all the wisdom and knowledge and abundance that we need in order to find and expand love. So you can see just by reading one tarot card how much can come out once you really, train the eye and train your heart to delve into all the symbolism that's on the traditional tarot. So this card came in upside down. So when I read the story, I'm definitely told about, a scorpion-like energy because we have the scorpion in this card. Tarot is extremely related to astrology. So we have a major arcana, the moon, and this particular card also is the 18 number, right? We've got 18, which is a card that ends in 8, which is also abundance. There's a lot of abundance going on in this spread. But what this shows me is also a card of the sun is here and the moon. It's a card of polarization of is it good or is it bad? So when I get a card like this in the reading, a lot of times it will tell me that the person needs to look on the bright side, count the blessings in order to see the competition, right? You're competing with light and dark. And if I turn this card right side up, you'll see that this card, which is the 9 of Wands, Wands is action in the tarot. The 9 of Wands is a card of you have all these things behind you and one thing left is your hurdle. So you have one battle left. It's coming in the future. I think Joanne and I know what that is because we are friendly. And then you have this sleepless night card. But the way it came out in the spread, if you look, the person is facing, if they'd open their eyes and take their hands off their face, they're facing the Empress, which, like I said, is Venus, the love, the roses, the beautiful gold color behind her for abundance. But it's in reverse. Hasn't happened yet. So during the full moon, we download maybe some beautiful energy or frequency. It opens us up to see the blessings behind us, the one last hurdle that we have to do with the support that we have from the sun and the moon, the abundance of life. Gives us the comfort we need, the support, which is all behind us, coming into this beautiful Empress card that then when we activate these will be turned right side up. And like a queen on the throne, living in our own abundance and expansion of love, things go our way. That's how the tarot tells a story. And once you really learn tarot and delve deep into it, you'll be able to read the stories as well. And also your intuition becomes heightened and you're able to read the story from a point of view of the soul and of your own intuition. So want to know how that resonates for you, Joanna. And I'm going to just see my comments if there are any, if she's still watching. Whoop. And yeah, so Anne gives Bobby hugs. So that's the story for you, Joanna. So rest easy. Allow your spiritual, your introspecting, your experience to come forward so that you can really live in that beautiful abundance that's there for you, And when you do that, you're going to see that everything you need is within you. And if you look at the moon card, this is one of my favorite cards in the deck because you've got all of these creatures, the scorpion coming out of from the ground. This is a card of revealing things coming out from the depths that really play a part in the love and the value in our lives and fill our hearts with the abundance of the Empress. So now I'm going to pull some cards for the world energy. I'm going to pull some cards for tomorrow night's presidential debate, totally going off on a different subject. That is Jupiter in Gemini right now, giving us all some, crazy, like, oh, wait, I was just thinking right, let me go left. Not politically speaking, of course. But I'm going to shuffle my deck, and then I'm going to pull some cards for the debate. I will tell you that we have Mars and Mercury in an aspect that this debate, I will be very surprised if it does not disappoint, is what I'm going to say, and I'm going to leave that there. I think we're going to see a lot of energy tomorrow night, and I think both candidates are actually going to be pretty well spoken. So we're going to see how this goes. There will definitely be quite a bit of words with Mars and Mercury in play. It is aspecting some very key points in both candidates' charts. So, we're going to see this happening. So I'm going to pull, they're telling me 5 cards, but of course that never works when they tell me a number because I always want to pull more. But let me see. You're seeing me shuffle these really, really well. I'm going to keep shuffling them. Of course, I would never get a job in Vegas because I am a poor shuffler. The last deck of tarot cards I had them for about 10 years. These I've got it about 15 years. And they were actually bent because I used to shuffle them this way all the time. I always envy, whenever I go to a casino, I always envy the shufflers. They do it so good. And I love the sound of it, too. Okay, so we got these. I'm going to cut the deck in 3s. See what we got here. Okay. For tomorrow night's debate, let's see what we got going on. Okay. I have the 2 of Swords in reverse. Justice really is blind. Oh my gosh, the first card, that's just killing me. The next one is, wow, the 6 of Pentacles also, and everything's reversed, so it's going to be out of balance. Truth, don't expect the truth. The next one is the Knight of Pentacles, right side up. Okay, there's going to be a 911. Next card is, look at this. Freedom. Yeah, not. Okay, I'm going to tell you the story. Don't worry, we got this. For those of you amateur and professional tarot readers out there, I know you're reading this already, but we'll see. If you got a comment, put it in the comments. And then we have the 5 of Pentacles. This is so cool. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is, keep losing my comments. What I'm seeing here is, I'm going to just write something in the comments. Always misspell words. Okay. So, first card we got was I call this my blind justice card. You can see why, right? And it came in upside down, which means the energy's a little wonky. It hasn't really happened yet. First thing this tells me is don't expect truthfulness, okay, in the debate. And that's to be expected because they're running for office. If you were running for office, you'd embellish and hyperbole and do all those crazy things. We all do, right? Because whenever you're in a contest, how many of us can relate? It suddenly becomes about winning. That's the only thing you care about, and that's what this has become, I feel, in the debate. I don't have a horse in this race because I believe in a much higher power than any political figure is controlling the universe, and my universe especially. But I will say, you have to, this is an earthbound thing. So anytime that you are in a contest for something, it becomes about winning and not about the actual altruism of what the contest is about. Next card we have is the 6 of Pentacles. There's a lot of Pentacles here. We got a Pentacles here. We got a Pentacles here. Pentacles are coin and, money and our material wealth in the outside world. The fact that these are here, we also have the Knight of Pentacles. A lot of this debate is going to revolve around the economy. This is showing this right off the bat. You didn't need the cards to tell you that. But this is just confirmation that this debate is going to be won and lost on the economy. That's what it's going to be a lot about, depending on the questions. But I think that's what it's going to come to. So we've got the 6 of Pentacles here. It's upside down. When the 6 of Pentacles is right side up, this is a balance of money. You can see the guy has the scales of justice in his hand. Very interesting that the first 2 cards pulled have the scales of justice and Lady Justice, right? So this is all about equality, karma, what is right and fair. And this particular card is in regards to material wealth and money. It's showing that there has to be a balance, having enough money earned, enough money spent, and enough money given to charity, enough money for past, enough money for future, however you want to say it. This is also a very charitable card for some people when they read tarot. I always see that as showing and amplifying and shining a light on money for some reason, okay? The next card tells it all. Knight of Pentacles. Knights are coming in to show us things, to show us. A lot of times knights are correlated with angels. So this is very much an energy of a savior, of someone coming in to change the day. Knight of Pentacles is an energy of like the 911 card. He comes in, da 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 da, I'm here. Here I am to save the day. What is he coming charging towards? He's coming away from these two cards. He's coming away from Lady Justice and away from the money issues to charge forward to this person. And this is a freedom card, even though it looks like someone is bound here. If you look at the card, they are not bound. The swords are circling them in a semicircle. All they have to do is walk forward. They're in illusion. They don't see that they are in control of their own freedom if they only but walk forward. All right? So that's why the Eight of Swords is a card of coming into your own destiny, seeing the truth. So something happens. Someone is the Knight of Pentacles coming in to show the truth. And then this is the card of two people who are in detriment, who are in deprivation, but look at the light shining down on them from the window. This is a card of you're not in deprivation, look up to see the light. And the fact that this card came in with these last cards of the spread, the Knight of Pentacles is a card that changes the energy of the first two into the last. We have no truth, no justice, the imbalance of pentacle energy, the imbalance of material wealth. Then the Knight of Pentacles comes in, and this could be a male or a female energy. Knight of Pentacles comes in, changes the energy so people need to just walk forward to start to find freedom and look up to see the light. So something's going to be a game changer, if not during the debate, around the time of the debate. And I do still believe very strongly that something is more to be revealed in Kamala's chart, whether it's a negative or a positive, I can't say, but there is something that really is revealed and is a game changer. And for some reason, when I see Donald Trump's energy online, in video, I just don't get the feeling that he is going to not kind of win, but I feel like he's not going to finish the race for some reason, if that sounds weird. I don't know why, but I just feel very strongly that the candidates that we're looking at, something awry that's not who's either one going to be in the White House. I know that sounds cray-cray, but that's what I'm getting. But something's definitely going to happen around the time of the debate, or the energy switches up. It changes somehow. So it's, we'll see what happens. Got to believe that the universe is taking care of itself and that the universe is much more wise and loving than we are and knows the best route for humanity. So I hope all goes well for you guys this week. I'll be back next Sunday at 7 o'clock right here in the Zencuda Soul Space with all of my beautiful people. And I love you all. Share the show. Catch my other videos on Zencuda on YouTube. And if you haven't subscribed to that, do so. And also get on my website, zencuda.com. Put in your emails. I promise not to bother you, but I will tell you about events and classes coming up. Thanks so much, guys. Peace. Have a great week.